Hey, everybody. Good evening. Well, early evening. My name is Natalie Bryan. I am the director of the Health and Human Services Committee here with the Augusta Black Chamber of Commerce. And today we have with us Dr. Jackson Drumgoole.
Hey, how
Woo!
you doing? Good to see you, sis. How are you, ma'am?
Good, thank you. Good. Celebrating and honoring a wonderful leader in our community. Thank you for making time to come and speak with us today.
Always, anytime.
Thank you so much. So, just a brief little synopsis. He has an extensive bio, y'all. So, I'm just going to go over the highlights because this is an amazing man right here. He is a distinguished social entrepreneur. He is a seasoned 29-year Army veteran. Okay, an author, a speaker, a university professor, and a coach. Dr. Has a remarkable journey that is marked by significant accolades. In 2013, he was honored with the prestigious All-Star Dad of the Year award, standing alongside luminaries such as President Bill Clinton and former Macy's CEO Terry Lundgren, bestowed by the National Father's Day Committee for his exceptional work with military fathers during multiple deployments in Iraq. Dr. Drumgoole seminal work, They Call Me Daddy, a diary of a dysfunctional father, ignited a powerful community response, propelling him into the role of CEO, Chief Encouragement Officer,
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
Okay? Chief
yeah.
Encouragement Officer for fathers seeking guidance. In this candid memoir, his candidacy shared his own journey from fatherly missteps to ultimate redemption and is fully engaged and devoted. That we know you are the dad of the year.
Oh,
We
come
know
on, come on.
so he
No,
is also the founder and executive director of Bridge Builder Communities. Dr. Drumgoole spearheads Augusta's pioneer venture into tiny home communities for youth aging out of the foster care system.
yeah,
So beyond all of those things, Dr. Drumgoole holds the position of Director of Learning and Development, Organizational Development at Wellstar MCG, and a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated,
yes,
alongside his beloved wife, Miss Shadonna Flanoy of Sandersville, Georgia.
yeah.
Dr. Drumgoole is the proud father of 5 children,
Hmm.
including natural triplets, and
Yes,
cherishes his role as a grandfather to 3 grandsons.
yes.
Dr. Drumgoole, come on,
Come on, somebody.
father, not only at home, but in the community and helping others.
We're working on it.
So I thank you so much for making and taking time for me today.
Of
So I
course.
just wanted to start off by, asking you some questions
Yeah.
about your role in the community. You have been innovative in creating one of the first tiny home communities in the local area of Augusta, Georgia.
Yeah.
And you have been spearheading education and development at AU. This month is Men's Mental Health Month, and mental health is an important aspect of all of our lives. But sometimes our men struggle with asking for help, finding the appropriate resources, or even feeling like they deserve help in some capacities.
Mhm.
Can you share a time when you're prioritizing your mental health made a difference in how you showed up as a leader?
Well, yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for speaking with me and having me on today. It's always an honor to connect with you.
Thank
Like I say, when I came on board there at Wellstar and MCG, well, before it was Wellstar, it was MCG and AU, and MCG decoupled, and so they needed someone to come in and stand up that development department, that learning and org development department there. Since then, as just a little add on the bio there, a little edit. Since then, even like recently, I've switched roles again, and now I'm the director of strategic community engagement, which
you.
directly aligns with some of the work that we're doing here in the community. And so, again, just honored to be involved in the Black Chamber of Commerce and in everything that you're doing as well in the community. But I've had to prioritize my mental health a majority of my military career. and it really in my life, and mental health has kind of been running side by side with me, for 25, 30 years, because I recognize that if I'm not whole, I can't help anybody. And I married an amazing woman, Shadana, who's a therapist herself, and they always say, man, a therapist finds the craziest individual, and but honestly, what I discovered there was, you marry a woman who's willing to go into the dark places with you and wise enough to bring enough light to bring you both out, and so she's that individual for me. And so during times of like those multiple deployments, I come home for 2 weeks at a time, and she's still operating the household, and she has 5 kids. And it was tough for me just to sit there and let everybody work and recognize that, hold on, man, I've been gone for a year and a half, 2 years, and y'all can operate and function without me, So it took a minute just to settle down in that piece that she's okay, they're okay. I got to make sure I'm okay.
Yes.
I got to make sure I'm okay. And so I've always had to prioritize my mental health by literally, I joke all the time that I keep 3 or 4, mental health counselors on speed dial. It's vital. It is vital. Otherwise, if I can't pour into other people, then I'm operating on empty.
On empty, absolutely. Yeah. So you created a groundbreaking tiny home initiative for young youth aging out of foster care.
Yeah.
What was the driving force behind this idea?
Well, I'll share this with me. Honestly, and I'm not doing this alone. Everybody knows I have an incredible team of individuals that have come alongside me, led by the efforts of even Jordan Johnson and several other, and Commissioner Francine Scott, and our mayor, who've come alongside and said, hey, Jack, this is what the city needs. But the genesis of this project started, honestly, I was 18 years old. So we're talking in the late, in the 80s. Yeah. And when I recognized that several of my family members were in foster care, they were in orphanages right here in the city of Augusta. And as a kid, I couldn't do anything about it. I didn't have the money, didn't have the skill set, didn't have the connections, just didn't have a ton of didn't haves.
Yeah.
But what I did have, I had a vision that if we can create a community of care and an ecosystem of excellence, then these young adults would have a place to go. Certain stats are still true, and these stats. 85% of the young adults who come through the foster care system and age out of the foster care system have some form of mental health illness due to adverse childhood experiences.
Absolutely.
The displacement, the abuse, the sexual abuse, the mental abuse, the emotional abuse. And again, they're trying to function and trying to manage, trying to self-manage. And so we wanted to create a neighborhood where, first of all, they'd have a safe home. They have the life skills training necessary for successful transition into adulthood. They'd have the mental health counseling. They'd have the life coaching, someone literally standing at their side, helping them to navigate school, helping them to navigate life, the workforce. And again, my main thought was that no young adult should have to do life alone.
Yeah.
No young adult should have to do life alone, because it's hard enough as it is.
Yep. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So many foster youth struggle with the adverse life experiences, like you've mentioned, stability, mental health. How does your program address these emotional and psychological needs?
Well, first of all, when they come to our program, we do an assessment to determine, of course, the mental health assessment. We work with a program called Youth Science. I think they use it in the schools to determine their natural aptitude and the natural proclivities to kind of focus on their career in school. But more importantly, we sit down with the mental health assessment piece, working with the counselors, working with therapists. And again, my wife, she's the program director there, she's a therapist. And she'll sit there with them and determine where their needs are, and based off of their ACE scores, those adversity childhood scores, experiences, those scores, to determine where their needs are. And then we can't force anybody to do counseling, but we offer counseling. We have a list of individuals. You're on that list, of course. Everybody's on that list who can provide counseling and therapy for that population. And it's honestly, if once we determine that those needs are there, then they're required in order to stay a part of our program to, of course, work and or go to school, basic life skills training, but they're also required to meet with their counselor if we determine that the needs are there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So, what have you learned from working with this particular population, especially when it comes to community support and healing?
I, making people aware, first of all, that these young adults are extremely resilient.
Mhm.
They're extremely resilient. They have overcome extreme obstacles already.
Mhm.
They're not as some are very, very fragile. We get that, but when we recognize, and you know this already, you have EQ, emotional intelligence. You have IQ, intelligence quotient. You have CQ, cultural intelligence, but most people ignore, the AQ portion, the adversity quotient.
Mhm.
They've been through all the adversity in the
Mhm.
world based off of no fault of their own. Derelict dads and failed parents in a lot of cases, or whatever the case may be. However they got into that situation, they didn't create that situation, and yet they still self-manage and they still overcome.
Mhm.
What we try to teach them in the program is you've already gone through the hard stuff. Use these same skill sets. Use these same skill sets of survival, of endurance, of resilience, and let's create something positive. Let's create an outcome that you'll be proud of. Again, what's 4 more years of school if you've already been homeless? You've already been living in the woods. In some cases, you've already been couch surfing. Now you have a safe place to stay. Now you have a steady job. Now you have income. Let's show you how to use that. What we do, we have them walk away what we call our 4 E's.
Yeah.
So they'll be employed, they'll be educated, they'll be entrepreneur, or they'll be enlisted. But when they leave there, they'll be in a much better situation than when they came.
Okay.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah,
Excellent. As an executive leader in the healthcare space,
yeah.
how do you personally maintain your health, your mental health, while navigating high stress responsibilities?
It was interesting when that's a great question. Because it was interesting when Dr. Ralph Turner, our current president of Wellstar MCG, when he came on board, he said something that stuck with me. When people come to the hospital, that's not their best day.
Mhm.
They're not going shopping at Nordstrom's. They're not having a day in the park. They're not on the lake. They're coming in to an environment where they need help. They're in crisis. And so it gives me the perspective that I need as I walk around the healthcare system when I'm engaging with anyone, even on the elevator. I'll pass them in the hallway. Hey, how you doing today? What do you need? Are you lost? Can I help you some way? And I'll walk them to where they need to go or introduce them. But for me, keeping that perspective keeps me focused on who I'm there to serve, right? So I believe in coming to, what people tell you all the time, you want to be always be authentically yourself. When you
Yes,
come into your workplace. Yes, I believe in that. But if I'm authentically having a bad day, everybody doesn't need to know that.
that's true.
So I have a few people around the healthcare system that I can go into their office, dip into their office, we close the door, and we yell and we'll throw some stress balls at each other or whatever the case may be. But when we present ourselves, we're on one accord, and I'm recognizing, and we all are recognizing who we're there to serve. But
Absolutely.
but I keep a lot of people around me, a lot of strong individuals around me.
Okay,
Yeah,
absolutely. Support is always important,
yeah,
especially when it comes to mental health. I find that a lot of times, especially with men, they'll talk a little bit to their friends, especially their male friends. It may not be the deep stuff, but they'll say a word or two. So hoping to foster more conversations that help them to open up a little bit more deeper. But as a Black man in
yeah,
leadership, how have you seen mental health approached within our community? And what are some barriers?
yeah. I mean, it's the perception,
Hmm.
But I heard somebody say it the other day. Black men, we do talk.
Yeah.
We do talk. We do talk. We do talk. If it's in the barbershop or if it's on the back patio at a barbecue or if it's during a game or after a game and we're sitting there and we're relaxing, we're sharing, we're talking. It's just I believe that most of us need some tools to help individuals through
Yes.
some of these things. We're sharing,
Hmm.
but we may not be sharing with the right people, and they may not be giving us the right information we need in order to remedy the situation.
Gotcha.
And so some of those barriers, of course, is the weakness piece. If I share, then I'm displaying weakness. I believe you can only heal what you reveal.
Yeah.
And so with conversations like this, making it normal, and recognizing, hey, I don't know how people see me in the community, but recognize I am a flawed individual. I recognize I have a ton of holy handicaps and a bunch of divine disabilities that cause me to lean on God and lean on other people. And so if anybody sees me as any type of pillar, recognize this pillar has cracks and this pillar needs help. And so I'm constantly seeking help. I'm constantly talking to folks. In fact, I had a situation the other night where I just didn't know how to navigate. There was some things going on with the project. And I didn't know how to navigate. It may have been 10, 11 o'clock at night. And I have about 4 or 5 brothers men around the United States that I sent a text to, right? And I say, hey, guys, I'm just asking you to be as discreet as possible. This is all I know right now. I'm not even asking you specifically what to pray about or what advice to give me, because I don't even know what the questions are right now. But would you guys lean with me on this? And within about 10 minutes, I'm getting ping, 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 ping from all over the United States, from Washington State to Washington, D.C., throughout Georgia. Brothers started coming alongside of me and started not just saying, Jack, I'm gonna give you advice on this situation. No, brother, I'm gonna pray for you that you have wisdom during this season. And they started holding me up. And then the next day, following day, they started giving me solutions. And so I keep, again, like I said, I keep a team of individuals around me because I recognize that eagles have to fly together.
Yes, they do. They do.
Fly together. Yeah.
So with the barriers, let's talk about what are some things that you feel we still need to break in our community, those stigmas that kind of float throughout our community.
I mean, that Black folks don't need counseling.
That's the main one.
I heard somebody say it the other night, man, if you're Black, you need some counseling. You need some therapy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that counseling's too expensive.
Yeah.
It's too costly. I can use my money for other things. I haven't. Let me see. I think a pair of Jordans cost how much?
Like $200, maybe.
How much is an hour worth of counseling?
Well, with me, it's about $125, $150.
Okay, but if I have a strong mindset, a good mindset, and a direct mindset, I can create more money.
Absolutely.
Right. I'm in a clear space. So it's getting rid of some of those stigmas that, of course, like I said, counseling is too expensive, or counseling is not for me. I don't need somebody all up in my business.
Or you could pray it away. Or
when I can pray away. Again, you see behind me, I believe in the power of prayer, but I also believe in that God gave individuals wisdom. He gave individuals intelligence. He gave you a natural skill and proclivity to do those things. I mean, he's an amazing counselor, and as an amazing counselor, he gave gifts to men, and those gifts of counseling, the gifts of listening, gifts of helping individuals to work through and navigate things. So, again, whatever those stigmas are, we can work through them just one conversation at a time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about representation and how that plays in how youth, especially Black youth, see adults deal with their mental health and mental wellness?
Wow. Or
their strengths?
That's a great question. Now, again, I would be the first to tell you, I am not a sage on the stage. I haven't, like Paul said, man, I have not overcome all this stuff because I'm doing my very, very best to model the behavior I want to see for my kids, even at home. But we do my wife and I, we do a pretty good job. Again, because I married up. I married a brilliant woman who will have some tough conversations here at the house, and some challenging conversations. And we invite our kids, our own kids. We invite them into some of those conversations because we want them to see how we process things. And even when I do jack it up, or she does, we'll go back and we'll apologize to the kids. We'll bring them around the table, sit on the couch, and we'll have a conversation because we want them to be able to manage I don't know if that's the right word, but
Yeah,
yeah,
manage is
yeah,
an appropriate word.
yeah, be able to manage, of course, their emotions, to manage these tough conversations, even some of the some of the inter conflicts that they have and that we have. We
Hmm.
talk about it, and we talk about our history, because you know DNA DNA, it takes if I was going through this at 16, 17 years old, my wife was going through at 16, 17 years old,
Hmm.
I'm sure you guys are gonna face this as well. So this is how we navigated that part of our life. Um, and we help them to walk through it a little bit.
And you mentioned DNA, which I think is
Yeah.
important. I don't know if anyone has ever read Dr. Joy DeGrasse. She wrote the book on the post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Yes.
And a lot of times people don't realize that our traumas, our responses, just like with adverse childhood
Yep.
experiences, those
Yep.
experiences as children impact us as adults. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? So think about the traumas that are passed on from generation to generation to generation.
Mm-hmm.
And it tickles me because they'll be like, oh, we're going to be generational curse breakers, not
Yeah.
recognizing that that is not just a
Right.
spiritual thing, but it's epigenetic, it's in our genes. So
Exactly.
to have active change in our mental health and our mental wellness
Yes.
means we are actually having to
Love that.
really get to the nitty gritty to work through to have effectual change for
Yes.
our future generations.
I love
So
that.
I applaud that you and your wife model that behavior, because a lot of times parents don't recognize, they always like, do as I say, not as I do. But our children learn by watching what we do. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? And
Absolutely.
so if we are doing the things and making an example, it'll be a little bit easier. It'll help encourage them to want to sit down and talk through things, work things out,
Yeah.
communicate effectively, have a listening ear, not answer just to have
Mm.
something to say, but to actually listen
Yeah.
and then respond in an appropriate manner. So tell me a little bit about your upbringing. How has that shaped your emotional resilience or your mental wellness?
Wow. Okay, that's a great question. So grew up in a two-parent household. Father retired from the military. He was a Vietnam War vet. Mom was a nurse. He just passed at 94 years old. I think it was last year, and my mom the year prior. They didn't argue. I mean, they didn't communicate well at all. They didn't communicate well at all. Um, and that kind of shaped. I said, this is what I don't want to model.
Yeah.
They didn't do a lot of fighting, and it was no furniture being thrown, but they just didn't communicate
Yeah.
at all. You know what I mean? And I wanted to make sure that my wife and I were on the same sheet of music, that we were moving in the same direction. And so I wanted to make sure my wife was involved in all of the decisions and in the movement of our family. And so I over communicate more, and my wife will tell you, I'm the talker of the household. You know,
Mhm.
you know, I want to express, I want to talk, I want to share, I want it all to be on the table. And I used to, early in our marriage, I asked her, hey, um, are we okay? Are we okay? She said, if I wasn't okay, I'd tell you, okay?
Okay. Listen, but people don't understand, so you are a communicative partner, and that's really important in
Yeah.
relationships. So a lot of times people don't realize we parent how we were parented. And
Hmm.
because you were parented in a way that you're like, hey, I don't want that to be my
Yes.
household, you went the other end like, hey, I'm going to over communicate. I'm going to find out what's going on. How
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
how
Exactly.
can I be, how can I be better?
Yes, how can I be
You tell
better?
me.
Always trying to improve. How can I be better?
How can I be better?
Yeah.
All right. So, what are some habits that you do that you've kind of built your life
Yeah.
around
Yeah.
that helps you to reset
Wow.
or recenter when mentally?
Whew. I'm working on it. Like I said again, I'm not a sage on the stage.
That's
I'm a
okay.
guide on the side. This is something I'm literally working on daily.
Mhm.
Um, I work on trying to find a place to work out every day, I'm blowing it. So some days are better than others, but I do have a time blocked out to work out, just to
Mhm.
work on me, just to go inside. Of course, I have my meditation time, my prayer time, my Bible study time,
Mhm.
um, and um, and and I try to decompress at about 7:30, 8 o'clock every night, right? And I'm trying to do better at how I do that, right?
Mhm.
How I show up to those spaces. Um, but those type of habits. And again, I talk to my wife a lot.
Yeah.
Probably more than she wants me to.
That's love. That's love.
Yeah. But I mean, it's 20 plus years now, so she just know when I sit down in front of her, she just say, "Yeah, tell me about your day.
Tell me what's going on."
And then she'll ask me all the detailed questions, and she wants me to draw out all the details, and I'll do the best I can. But those are some of my daily habits.
Okay, so I have like 2 more questions, and I promise you are free to go.
I'm fine.
Oh man, you've innovated something really great with the tiny home community. It is the first in our city, and everyone has been excited about it, especially people who have worked in the community that deals with family, children, things of that nature. What advice would you have for other leaders who wants to innovate something? Not exactly this, but similar, or maybe something that they think won't be nurtured or grown or supported out of fear of lack of support. What would be some encouraging words for them?
Well, I have a shameless plug, and you're gonna hear it first. Okay, shameless. So I just wrote a book called The Change Leader Playbook. Change Leader Playbook. I haven't even put it out there yet. We'll probably promote it next month and get it out there by the end of the year. But it's called The Change Leaders Playbook, and literally chapter 5 talks about building your team. Right?
Yes.
You have to have an amazing team. Have a vision that's bigger than you.
Yeah.
That will outlive you. I literally use, it's called, the subtitle is called, the Ancient Wisdom for Modern Success, right? And what I literally did was took the book of Nehemiah. He took 52 days and he rebuilt the wall, city wall, right? He wasn't a king, he was a cupbearer. He approached everything from a servant's heart. So no special titles. Again, I'm not an elected official. I came back to the city of Augusta, retired from the Army in 2022. So just 3 years ago, retired from the military. So I came here with a pretty much a solution based off of a problem that I saw years ago. So the first thing I would advise is to find out what the problem is, the true problem is. Make an assessment. Nehemiah, he made an assessment. When I came back to the city of Augusta, I made an assessment. I went from office to office, desk to desk, business to business. I said, hey, when I left here 30 years ago, this was the issue with foster care. Where are we today with this problem? And the stats started rolling out, right? I said, okay, what are we doing to serve this population? And we found out that during the daytime from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., there were tons of resources available, right? But not many relationships.
Yeah.
And the young adults didn't know about it. I said, okay, well, what happens after 5 p.m.? Where do they go? And we found out the kids were still couch surfing. They were staying in hotel lobbies or DFAX lobbies, or staying in hotels.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what we do. Why don't we build a neighborhood, a community where these young adults can live and have some dignity in their own home, in their own space? And all of the things that we all are doing from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., can we just do it here on this population? Can we do it here on this community, in this neighborhood? And folks came alongside, hey, it's a great idea. We weren't trying to reinvent the wheel. So again, the first advice I'd give is to assess the problem, come up with a plan, build a team, and then encourage. And then the last thing, buy this book when the time comes out.
So what legacy do you hope your work will leave for future generations in Augusta and beyond?
For people to dream. I mean, you want people to dream, to solve problems. I mean, like I say, if everyone literally said, okay, this is my problem to solve, and they got after that problem and solved that problem, we wouldn't have any problems. We wouldn't have any issues, right? If everyone just stays, honestly, forget about competition. I said, we don't compete, we complete. I'm not here to compete with anybody. I'm here to complete. What my job is, what my mission is, or complete where there may be some gaps. So fill those gaps. But that's what I hope my legacy is, that someone's inspired by this work and does something better.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And if you could share one last thing, one core message about mental health with our community, what would it be?
Talk to somebody. It's a cup sitting right here beside me. It's my wife's cup. I'm gonna pull it up. I just saw it. Can you read that?
Nothing is that terrible to talk about.
Nothing's that terrible to talk about. Nothing is that terrible to talk about. And so I encourage you, man, find somebody to talk to. We all have things to work through. We all want to be better. We all want to be our best self and show up as our best self every day. But sometimes it takes somebody to mind that out of you. You know, like I said again, for me, I found a partner who was, willing to go into some of those dark places with me, but she was wise enough to bring enough light to bring us both out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time today.
No,
So
thank
my
you.
name is Natalie. I am the new director of the Health and Human Services Committee with our local Black Chamber of Commerce for the Greater Augusta area. If you would like to be a part of this chamber, please check us out. mygabc.com. We would love to have you. We would love for you to be a part of our committee, our programs, our services. We have so many things here for the CSRA area. So please come join us. Check us out. Thank you so much, Dr. Drumgoole, for coming, speaking with me today.
Thank you for having me.
And I appreciate your time. You have a wonderful evening.
Hey, you too. Take care.
Take care.